Volleyball positions. There are 5 main ones in the game of volleyball, and each has a different job, a different responsibility in order to help a volleyball team succeed. In today's video, what we are going to do is look at the 5 main volleyball positions. I'm going to be going into an in-depth overview of each and every volleyball position, and I'm going to provide you guys with tips so that you guys can succeed to the best of your ability to help your volleyball team win more games. Each volleyball position has its pros and cons, things I think are more fun about it than others, and honestly, some volleyball positions are just simply a little bit more challenging to play than others. So what we are also going to be doing in today's video is ranking each of these volleyball positions to see, in my opinion, which volleyball position is truly the hardest to play in the entire game of volleyball. If you have been liking the content lately, make sure to leave a like, comment down below what volleyball position you play, what volleyball position you think is the hardest, and what volleyball position you think is the easiest. Make sure to subscribe to the channel if you are new. Go check out PME Volleyball Shorts if you want more volleyball content, and with that all out of the way, let's hop straight into it. This is what's gonna happen. We are going to start with what I think is the easiest position in the game of volleyball and work our way over to what I think is the hardest position in the game of volleyball. For each position, I'm gonna tell you what it does, why that position is important, and then a couple of tips and tricks in order to improve at that position. Let me know down below if you have a guess of which position I'm going to rank as the hardest, but we are going to start off this list at number 5, coming in at dead last on this list, what I think is the easiest position in the game of volleyball, opposite hitter. Even though opposite hitter is the easiest position in the game of volleyball, I will also make the argument that it makes it the most fun position in the game of volleyball. That's because you have the least amount of responsibilities, and quite honestly, you can just enjoy yourself out there on the volleyball court. An opposite hitter is a very specialized position in the game of volleyball. When they are in the back row, they are expected to have a very good serve. Most teams have their opposite hitter as one of their best servers on the volleyball team. And in fact, a lot of opposite hitters will utilize a jump serve in order to put pressure on the other team, just like this. One of the reasons I think opposite hitter is easier than a lot of other volleyball positions is they aren't a part of serve receive. Instead, they focus when they are in the back row primarily on playing defense and hitting that volleyball out of the back row by jumping in front of the 10-foot line to hit what we like to call a D-ball. This can be extremely effective, especially if you have an opposite hitter capable of hitting a D-ball and a setter capable of setting that right side hitter a D-ball. When they're in the front row, they have one extremely important job. That is to be blocking the other team's outside hitter. More times than not, the other team's outside hitter is going to be their most effective scorer. So, an opposite hitter's job is to be big on their block. They want to give the outside hitter on the other side of the net a hard time. They don't want them to be scoring very easily. So opposite hitters are usually known for being excellent blockers. Likewise, an opposite hitter hits a back row ball, what we like to call the 3 ball. They hit a setter will use a back set to set them a back 3 ball, and an opposite hitter will run up, go up, swing in that volleyball, hit it down into the ground in order to try and score points and be successful. A couple of quick tips I have for opposite hitters. Work on your serve. You want to be an asset from behind the service line. It is a great thing as an opposite hitter to have a powerful serve. It'll make you stand out amongst your teammates, and while other positions have a lot of other jobs to focus on, you as an opposite hitter not having to serve receive can focus on putting that time and energy into perfecting a nasty and wicked serve. Secondly, you might not be serve receiving as an opposite hitter, but you definitely will be playing back row defense. Don't take this lightly. You still have a lot of court back there to defend, and if you are able to defend the volleyball and be an effective passer as an opposite hitter in the back row, chances are your setter might even reward you by setting you out of the back row. So if I'm here, I make a pass, it's a good pass to my setter, I can then have an opportunity to attack the volleyball and score that volleyball point for myself, but I only ever had the opportunity to because I didn't take defense lightly. If you are looking for a professional volleyball player to maybe take some inspiration from, I would highly recommend you check out our very own Gabby Garcia. He just tore up the FIVB World Championships and did a great job of being an effective option on the opposite. So I highly recommend you check him out. He's got a wicked serve, and he's a very effective scorer and a pretty good blocker too as an opposite hitter. Number 4 on this list, we have none other than the Libero. This might seem a little controversial, but I do believe that Libero is the fourth hardest position in the game of volleyball. Liberos, if you did not know, are the defensive captains and specialists of the volleyball team. Getting to wear that different colored jersey is a privilege as a libero, and you need to be excellent in not only serve receive, but in defense as well if you are to be wearing the special different colored libero jersey. Even though libero ranks as being the fourth hardest position on this list, it is not easy by any means. It is very hard to serve receive in the game of volleyball, and it is important that a libero can do so effectively in order to set up the offense for success on their volleyball team. As a libero, you won't only serve receive on the left side of the volleyball court, but you're also going to have to receive serves out of the middle and on the right side as well. And there are different little things that change from each position on the volleyball court where you are serve receiving out of. For example, the seam. If the seam's always right, when you're over here, you're responsible for taking the volleyball past in between you and your teammate right here on the right. But if you are in the middle, on the middle, if the seam's still right, on this side you're being covered, but now you have to look out for your teammate on this side of the volleyball court. If you're all the way over here, your seam's covered, and you just have to cover between you and the end line to make sure the other team doesn't get an ace. Additionally, what makes libero tricky to play is the fact that you have to be reading on defense. You have to be able to see not only what is happening on the other side of the net, but how your block is set up in accordance. If there is a hole in the block, you have to set up in a position that fills up that hole so the other team has the least amount of possible space to score a volleyball point effectively. Volleyball in general is honestly just a game of reading and reacting, and as a libero, those skills get put to the test. You have to be able to dig hard shots, tips, roll shots, deep shots. Honestly, every single shot in the game of volleyball needs to be covered by the libero. If water covers 75% of the earth, you as a libero need to be covering the other 25%. A couple of quick tips and tricks I have if you are playing the libero. Number one, learn how to dive. As you might have heard from the noise that came out of my mouth when I hit the floor, I am not very good at diving in the game of volleyball. I recommend that if you are a libero, you get good at diving and hitting the floor in the game of volleyball. This is because there are some volleyballs that are simply going to be out of reach for other volleyball positions to cover. But you as a libero are expected to be able to pick up each and every one of those hard shots. So definitely learn how to hit the floor, and secondarily, work on those second hands. If you did not know, liberos are usually in charge of being second hands on a volleyball team. Meaning if on the rare occasion a setter actually plays defense and gets that volleyball up in the air, it is your job as a libero to now run the offense. You are not, as a libero, allowed to set that volleyball in front of the 10-foot line if you want your front row player to hit the volleyball. So you need to be able to use your hands from the back row to set either a right side or an opposite, or if that pass goes into the front row, be comfortable making a set with your platform to one of your fellow teammates in order to run the offense. One of my all-time favorite liberos that you should definitely be watching if you want tips and somebody to model your game after is none other than Team USA's Eric Shoji. He is a volleyball legend, been playing the libero position at such a high level for a very long time. So definitely go check him out if you want some tips and tricks in how to be successful at the libero position. Coming in at number 3 on this list, we have the libero's front row replacement, none other than the middle. Now you might be thinking to yourself, PME, there's no way that a middle has a harder job and more responsibilities on the volleyball court than a libero. And to that I say, no, there is a way. This is because I personally think for a middle, it is harder to be able to read and react to the other team's setter and perfectly set up a block, closing all the blocks you're supposed to, compared to just receiving serves. I think that a middle has more responsibilities on the volleyball court than a libero, and therefore that is why I've ranked them as a more high difficult volleyball position compared to a libero. Let's talk about all the responsibilities of a middle. For one, you have to be able to block not only the middle on the other side of the net, but you have to be able to use the correct footwork in order to get out to block the other team's outside hitter and to also get out to block the other team's opposite hitter. You also have to be aware of the back row attack. If there is an outside hitter who's able to hit out of the back row, you need to be able to block them. If there's an opposite hitter that that can hit out of the back row, you need to block them. If there's a Libero that can hit out of the back row, you can't actually block them because they can't even hit the volleyball over in the first place. But besides that, the other aspect of playing the position of middle is hitting the volleyball. You might come out of the middle, right on the setter in order to hit a 1-ball. You might also run a 32, which is a quick set, push to the left side of the volleyball court in order to free up some space and maybe give yourself a gap in order to hit that volleyball in between the middle and the opposite blocker on the other side of the net. Additionally, you can run a back 1, and honestly, all of these sets are only possible if a middle and a setter are on the same page. I personally have never played the middle position myself, but I have a ton of respect for high-level middles. I know that without a doubt, it is not an easy volleyball position, and the responsibilities that they do have take a lot of mental power in order to be able to connect the movements you need to make with your body to respond to the offense that is being run on the other side of the net. One of the biggest tips I could possibly give a middle is work on your blocking footwork. Not only do you need to work on being able to jump high, but you need to be able to work on getting to the right and to the left as quickly as you possibly can to close the block. Not only are these not necessarily the easy of movements, they are also completely inverse. So the blocking move that I use to get all the way out on the right is completely different, is the exact opposite of the blocking move I would use to get out to the left. And as you can see, I'm not even very good at that one because I have never practiced it myself. That is honestly the best and easily, in my opinion, the most important tip that every middle blocker needs to know. Work on that blocking footwork, work on being able to read and react to the setter on the other side of the net, and it will help you become a better middle blocker in the game of volleyball. Honestly, the entire committee of Team USA blockers do a very good job of playing the position well. I highly recommend checking out each and every one that represented us in the FIVB World Championships because they do a great job of playing the position at the highest level in the entire world. That leaves us with 2 volleyball positions left on this list. And coming in at number 2 on this list, what I think is the second hardest position in the game of volleyball is none other than the position I've been playing for 8 years of my volleyball career, the entire time, the setter. Setters really only have one main responsibility on the volleyball court. And maybe you already guessed it by now, but yeah, they have to be able to set the volleyball. But not only do setters have to set the volleyball, they have to make a multitude of different sets. There are a bunch of sets they need to know for their outside, whether if it's an out-of-system pass, they need to be able to put up a high ball so their outside hitter has more time to get to it. If it's an in-system pass, maybe you're looking to use more of a 4-ball or a tempo set, even a quick. In the middle, you need to be able to run a 1-ball, a push 1, a back 1, a 32. On the opposite, you need to be able to use a 3-ball, maybe a back 2. Heck, maybe even a slide could work. Heck, maybe you can even run an X, have your middle run a slide and your right side hit a 2-ball in the middle. Out of the back row, you need to be able to run a BIC, maybe a C, a D. There are just so many sets in the game of volleyball that a setter needs to understand, know, and complete successfully. So yeah, I would make the argument that setting is one of the most complicated aspects of the entire game of volleyball. It's super hard, there's a lot going on, and there are a lot of different sets that you need to make in order to be successful as a setter. Additionally, the other things that setters have to do. Blocking in the front row is very important. Most of the times you're going to be matched up against the outside 2, so the second outside hitter on the other team, but they still are probably going to get set a fair share. So you need to be able to block as a setter. In the back row, defense is important. I make fun of setters for not being able to play defense, but a setter who has a good defensive intuition can be very important. You need to know when you need to be in defense, or when that volleyball isn't going to you, maybe it's a free ball, you need to recognize it before the rest of your team call free ball and have your offense transition off the net so you can get ready to set that volleyball. Also, just like most of the other volleyball positions, it definitely helps as a setter to have a pretty good serve. But yeah, I honestly just think all around setter is a very hard, complicated volleyball position. There's a lot that goes into it. You have to be very smart and intelligent in order to run a successful offense. The best tip I could possibly give a setter is to get on the same page with your hitters. You need to know your hitters and know that each one needs a little bit of a different set. This is especially true when it comes to middles. Some middles might need a higher 1-ball. Some middles might need a quicker 1-ball. Even though it is the same set, just because you have different hitters means you need to set that same set a little differently. I'm just saying, playing the position of setter is exceptionally difficult. The second tip that I could give for setters is know when to take the offense into your own hands. Using a setter dump or a setter swing can be super super effective ways to keep the defense on the other side of the net off guard. You can catch them maybe scoring your team a couple of points and making their jobs as blockers and defenders harder if you are able to keep them guessing constantly whether you are going to set the volleyball or hit the volleyball. Just know when to use a set or dump or swing in your offense. Definitely, there are a handful of setters that I have loved watching over the years. Simone Gianelli for Italy is a fantastic one to study. He knows when to throw in setter dumps. He knows how to get his teammates involved. All around, he's just a proficient volleyball setter, one of the best in the entire world right now, and I highly recommend you check out his game if you want to learn how to become a better setter. And that leaves us with one last volleyball position on this list, what I think is the hardest position in the game of volleyball, the most complicated to play at the highest level, is without a doubt the outside hitter. Outside hitters, simply put, have the most responsibilities on the volleyball court. Not only do they need to serve receive just like a libero, but they need to be able to attack, and usually attack at the highest clip rate, meaning that they are getting set more times than not, more than any other position on the volleyball court. This combination of having to be really good at the hardest aspect of the game of volleyball, that being serve receive, and another super difficult aspect of the game of volleyball, which is finding ways to score the volleyball, all combined into one, also having to serve, block. There's just a lot that goes on when you have to play the position of outside hitter. Having this much responsibility as an outside hitter means that you have the most effect over how a volleyball game goes. Since you are involved in the most aspects of it, how well you play as an outside hitter more times than not can have a huge impact on how the volleyball game plays out, meaning if your team wins or loses. Outside hitters simply have to do it all. Whether they're in the front row or the back row, they have to serve receive. When they're in the back row, they have to play defense in the deepest part of the court and then be able to transition to hit a big ball. When they're in the front row, they also have to worry about hitting and blocking the volleyball. There's just a lot that goes into playing the outside hitter position, and on top of all that, just like the other volleyball positions, except for Libero in the NCAA for men's volleyball in the professional game, they also have to serve. A couple of quick tips I would have for outside hitters. Number one, serve receive is everything. That first touch is everything, and putting up a good pass out of serve receive can make your setter's job easier, which in turn will make your job as a hitter easier. So not only being able to make a good pass and serve receive, but then being able to transition outside of the court, getting ready to swing, will be a huge difference maker, especially if you are able to do it efficiently throughout a volleyball match. Secondly, I think it's super important for outside hitters to have a toolkit of different shots that they can use in the game of volleyball. Not only a power shot, but a roll shot, maybe a deep push shot that just lands in the back corner of the volleyball court, a power tip. Also, all of these things are really good for outside hitters to practice to add to their game in order to make themselves more successful when scoring the volleyball. As an outside hitter, and honestly as a hitter in general, you want to have a high hitting percentage. And that doesn't just mean you hit the volleyball as hard as you can sometimes. Sometimes playing smart volleyball can be the key factor in helping your team win games. So learn how to throw a roll shot, a deep tip, a shallow tip, honestly tool it off the block. These things can help you succeed as an outside hitter. That is going to do it for today's video. We have covered every single position in the game of volleyball except for the not real ones like serving specialist. And if you're wondering where the defensive specialist is on this list, basically I'd put it right next to a libero. They essentially just do the same things without getting to wear the cool colored jersey. I think opposite hitter is the easiest position in volleyball. Then we have the libero, then the middle, then the setter, and the outside hitter. Comment down below if you would adjust your list any differently. But besides that, thank you guys so much for watching. Make sure to leave a like on this video, subscribe to the channel if you are new. If you aren't new, go check out PME Volleyball Shorts. I make more short form volleyball content over there, and I highly recommend you will like it. Thank you guys so much for watching. I will catch you guys in the next video. Peace.